morning, Acadiana. Thank you for tuning in to Local News Live on AOC 1, on Cypress Street Radio, and on AOC Community Media's YouTube channel. We provide this service, Local News Live, as a community service provided to you by AOC Community Media in partnership with The Advocate, our local newspaper and journalists. And as usual, we are joined this morning by Bruce Cohen, our awesome volunteer newsreader. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Mr. Matt. How are we doing?
We're doing just great, and even better now that you're here to give us some news.
I will absolutely do that, and I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity, and we'll talk later. So I'm going to say good morning, Acadiana. And here is our news for today. Today is Friday. We've made it to Friday, May 8th? May 6th? May 8th? May 8th. Today is Friday, May 8th. Sorry about that. I've got the calendar right next to me. Staying safe. We're all staying safe and calm, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. So starting off with a big story this morning, COVID-19 coronavirus, the latest analysis traces Louisiana outbreak to New York. Local scientists say it's still too soon to tell, by Andrea Gallo and Emily Woodruff. Infectious disease experts are getting close to mapping how the coronavirus spread across the U.S. And while New York is emerging as a potential source for outbreaks in several states, including Louisiana, local scientists say it's still too soon to say for sure. On Thursday, the New York Times published an analysis that connected Louisiana's coronavirus outbreak to New York City with genome sequencing data, saying 100% of samples analyzed from New Orleans were linked back to New York. The local researchers told The Advocate and the Times-Picayune that while New York is arguably a candidate for spreading the diseases here, they do not have enough data yet to draw sweeping conclusions about where Louisiana's outbreak originated from. It's pretty speculative to say New York seeded every infection in Louisiana, said Susanna Lamers, CEO of BioInfo Experts. The Thibodeau-based business funded by the National Science Foundation is sequencing genomes with Ochsner Health System from a coronavirus patient's samples. So far, BioInfo Experts have sequenced 25 samples, mostly from people in South Louisiana. The lab has 75 more in the queue. Lamers said her team should start being able to glean more information from a pool of samples from the LSU Health Sciences Center in Shreveport soon, but they need more diverse samples from other parts of the state as well to draw bigger conclusions. The first 3 Louisiana samples have researchers sequenced, 2 from the BioInfo Experts and Ochsner team, and 1 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, had indicators that tied them to the U.S. Northwest. Lamers said they believe the Louisiana samples will still have ties to Utah, Arizona, and Idaho, especially, but this doesn't refute or confirm the claim that New York City may have seeded the Louisiana outbreak. Viruses replicate by commandeering living cells and injecting them with a small piece of genetic material called RNA. When the virus churns out copies of the RNA, mistakes sometimes get made, like a jumbled game of telephone. Those mistakes are mapped for scientists trying to track the path of a particular strain of virus. While the first case of coronavirus in the United States was confirmed near Seattle, the Times concluded that more infections from across the country came from a line of the virus associated with New York versus those from Washington. Mapping diseases using genome sequencing is like watching a tree grow. And Tulane virologist Bob Gary, who is working with researchers around the country to map the coronavirus, as the samples of sequence and connections spread out like branches. The Times analysis, which sought to explain where the bulk of the virus in different regions of the country originated, simplified the tree into two branches, East Coast and West Coast. I traced all of New Orleans infections back to New York using 89 samples, but splitting all the samples into two branches made for what Gary called a 30,000-foot analysis. In his view, it's too soon to say that New York brought the virus to New Orleans. Some of the New York strains could be from the West Coast, said Gary, who was working to sequence samples exclusively from the New Orleans area. Nathan Grubaugh, an epidemiology professor at Yale School of Public Health, who was quoted in the New York Times article, posted a thread on social media Thursday, adding additional nuances in the research. No, we cannot estimate the number of COVID-19 cases in the U.S. associated with outbreaks in New York from a relatively small number of sequences, he wrote. New York looks to be a primary source of spread in the U.S., but not all came directly from New York. Rebecca Rose, the chief technology engineer officer for BioInfo Experts, said her firm's early analysis indicates that the coronavirus has been circulating in Louisiana for months. But there are several potential scenarios of how it could have spread. One possibility is that there was a super spreader, or one person who infected several others. Another is that it quickly jumped from person to person, while the state had more than 1 million tourists during Mardi Gras. It does look like there's a single major introduction, but it's still quite diverse, which indicates that it probably has been circulating for a while, Rose said. She explained that infections having a common ancestor does not mean that there is a unique strain circulating through the state. It's just that the genetic signature of the viruses that are currently circulating can't be traced back to a common ancestor at that time, Rose said. Gary said there's another Mardi Gras-based conclusion that he can draw from the genomes that have been sequenced so far, which are uploaded to a database called NextStrain. New Orleans did not cause a boom in infections in other parts of the U.S., as has been speculated because of some travelers testing positive after returning home from the city. In Louisiana, the branches are short and drop off, said Gary. What's clear is that New Orleans didn't need the rest of the country, said Gary. I don't think the whole Mardi Gras thing is going to hold up. As more sequences are added to the database, the tree will change shape, giving a more accurate picture of how coronavirus infections spread across the country. The tree will grow and show us a different picture, he said. Well, that's a very interesting story. All right. And now we get to Lafayette and Acadiana stories. Taxable sales down from 50 million from 2019. Lafayette Parish sees economic slowdown from pandemic by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Lafayette Parish's taxable sales were up in March from the previous month, but down over 50 million from March 2019, indicating the economic slowdown from the coronavirus pandemic. Data released Wednesday by the Lafayette Economic Development Authority, or LEDA, showed 509.4 million in retail sales in March, up from 465.5 million in February, but down from the 549.7 million in March in 2019. It puts the year-to-date total at 1.48 billion through March, down from the 1.5 billion in the first 3 months of 2019. Year-to-date totals, however, remain slightly ahead of 2018's total. Taxable sales through February are held steady with strong 2019 numbers. However, March brought a new reality for shoppers and retailers across Acadiana, Louisiana, and the U.S., said Greg Gothrow, president and CEO of the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. We all have a role to play in supporting our local businesses and their employees, who are our friends, families, and neighbors. I encourage you to continue supporting your favorite local retailer, restaurant, or service provider in whatever way you can over the coming weeks and months. All municipalities gains from February, but drops from 1 year ago. Lafayette dropped from 387.1 million a year ago to 343.7 million. Broussard from 46.3 million to 46.2 million in March. Karen Crow from 24.837 million to 24.830 million. Scott from 22.9 to 20.96 million. Youngsville from 27.1 to 26.45 million, and Tucson from 3.56 million to 2.75 million in March. Other data points of note are sales at grocery stores were the highest on record, which dates back to 2010 as 27 million, the result of the state's stay-at-home order. Restaurant sales consequentially dipped to just below 23 million, the second lowest monthly total on record. Bars and nightclubs reported just over 2 million in sales, the sector's worst March on record by a significant margin. Jewelry stores also had their worst month on record with 6.8 million in sales. Hotel motel receipts were at 2.55 million, the lowest month on record. And that probably has a lot to do with the Festival International de Louisiana being canceled. Hotel motel receipts were at 2.55 million, the lowest month on record. Bookstores also had their worst month with 663,021 in sales, and sales tax collection numbers were generated and are gathered by the Lafayette Parish School System. SLCC Chancellor leaving for South Carolina Post. Harder lauded for college's 8 years of growth by Ken Stickney. South Louisiana Community College, or SLCC Chancellor Natalie Harder, has accepted the position of president at Coker University in Hartsville, South Carolina, a private 4-year college with an enrollment of 1,200. She will leave SLCC on May 29th and begin her new position June 1st, becoming Coker's 17th president. It's hard to leave such an outstanding institution as the one you have created at SLCC, but it is rewarding to know that such excellence is possible in higher education, regardless of mergers, politics, budget cuts, natural disasters, and pandemics. She wrote a letter to the campus published on its website Thursday. Harder has served as chancellor since 2012, where she was responsible for all academic and operational aspects of the institution. During that time, enrollment grew from 6,100 to more than 18,000. Quinton Taylor, spokesman for the Louisiana Community and Technical College System, said the system's board will meet soon for discussion about both interim and full-time replacements for Harder. SLCC has enjoyed unprecedented success during Harder's tenure. In an issued statement, the college said graduations increased fivefold between 2012 and 2017, and degree, diploma, and certificate programs doubled. The campus also secured a $12.6 million grant, its largest ever, and created offices that included institutional advancement and alumni. Scholarships soared by some 15 times what they were. 20 new endowed scholarships were added. Monty Sullivan, president of the college system since 2014, recollected Thursday that Harder has been his colleague since 2007 when she worked in administration at Patrick Henry Community College in Virginia, while Sullivan served as the Virginia Community College System's vice chancellor for academic services and research. She was also one of Sullivan's students in a course about community college finance while she was enrolled in a doctoral program at Old Dominion University. Little did we know we would be battling budgets again, Sullivan said. She built an institution of exceptional quality. I'm proud to see her make a step from a community college to Coker because she is testing her skill sets to what has been a dying art, leading a small private liberal arts college. Sullivan said Harder's success was extraordinary in Acadiana, given its unique culture and her origins in upstate New York. Who would think a leader from Buffalo, New York would blend in so successfully in Acadiana and do it so exceptionally well, he said. Natalie has built an incredible leadership team at SLCC, said Troy Wayman, CEO of One Acadiana. In her tenure, she has been an unbelievable leader in the community on education issues, workforce issues, and working with us on our 55 by 25 campaign. That's going to have big shoes to fill. She's really transformed the community college into a real partner with the economic department and with business, said Greg Gothrow, CEO of the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. She was a real solution provider. She knew that what it would take, and there was no time wasted in getting from A to Z. Just a wonderful example of what we can do when we work together. She was a leader in that regard. Her community agreement was one of the reasons Coker chose Harder from a field of 100 candidates. Among finalists, she was a unanimous choice, Coker said on its website. Angeline Stanland, chairwoman of Coker's 20-member board of trustees, said Dr. Harder is a nationally recognized leader in higher education who has demonstrated the type of strong, dynamic, and enlightened leadership that will propel Coker in new directions. Harder said Thursday that she began thinking about relocating towards the East Coast as her parents and her husband's parents got older. She wanted to be closer to tend to their needs, she said. She said she was attracted to Coker's campus and located in the core of the town. It has tall trees and historic buildings, and its cherished place in the community of Hartsville, a city of some 8,000. Founded as a high school in the 19th century, became a women's college in 1908, but has simply been a private college since 1944. At one time, it was affiliated with the State Baptist Convention, but it has been non-denominational since 1944. It became co-ed in 1969. It grants bachelor's and master's degrees, 3 more than 40 areas of study, and became a university in 2019. Coker competes in Division II and 24 NCAA sports. Its students come from 22 states and 16 countries. About 60% are women, 46% are minority students, and about 1/3 are Black. They're committed to their students and they want to continue to innovate, she said of Coker. She said her own younger son, who is graduating from the early college high school at SLCC, will attend Coker. SLCC's search for a replacement may be complicated by several factors, including COVID-19. Harder said the leadership talent pool at SLCC said in the system is deep, and she is confident the transition to new campus leadership will be smooth. All right, let's go on to our first PSAs for the morning. AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. The United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, and LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch for the daily schedules and to submit content for the program. Visit the United Way of Acadiana website, that's unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. In early April, Vitalant, the nation's largest independent nonprofit blood service provider, launched a program in collaboration with hospital partners, the Mayo Clinic and the American Red Cross, to treat COVID-19 patients with convalescent plasma. The Food and Drug Administration has identified and approved convalescent plasma treatment as an emergency investigational new drug. It is currently the only antibody treatment available to COVID-19 patients, and as such is a promising new treatment. Vitalant is seeking convalescent plasma donors to help patients. Eligibility criteria are prior diagnosis of COVID-19, documented by a laboratory test or a positive serological test for the SARS-CoV-2 authorities taken after antibodies taken after recovery. Complete resolution of symptoms for at least 14 days. Meet all other current FDA donor eligibility requirements to donate plasma. Even with these requirements, there may be additional tests or other criteria required. In some instances, those who have recovered from COVID-19 may be able to donate even if they did not have an initial laboratory test. Those who meet the above criteria and want to donate plasma are encouraged to apply through the Vitalant website at vitalant.org/COVID-free. For more information, please call 866-CV-PLSMA or 866-287-5762. That's 866-287-5762. All right, moving on to more stories, especially about the coronavirus pandemic causes a drop in home sales. Lafayette Parish sees a 20% decrease by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Home sales dropped by more than 20% from a month ago in Lafayette Parish and about 30% across Acadiana as the coronavirus pandemic has slowed what was becoming another banner year in home sales. Despite the dip in sales, the parish and region remained ahead of last year's pace of homes sold through April, according to data from Bill Bakke of Market Scope Consulting, while sales outside Lafayette Parish have fallen behind last year's total. May could be another hurdle for the history, Bakke noted, with a significant drop in history. Pending sales for April were higher than last month's total and April's 2019 total. Although our real estate market has clearly been negatively impacted by both the virus and woes in our oil economy, I was expecting it to be greater, Bakke wrote. We still have the May hurdle ahead of us. May was the strongest month for reported home sales last year. I have often referred to our community as being resilient to whatever blows come our way. It appears that 2020 may afford us yet another opportunity to display that quality. The Union reported 363 homes sold last month, including 241 in Lafayette Parish and 122 outside the parish. As a region, that's down from 512 sold in March and the 475 sold a year ago. In Lafayette Parish, it's down 311 sold last month and 299 sold a year ago. Excuse me. It's having some throat issues. New construction sales in Lafayette Parish were also down, with 62 sold last month, compared with 76 sold last year. The pending sales, meanwhile, were surprisingly strong, Bakke noted. There were 511 reported last month, the most reported so far this year, and up from 497 a year ago, and 194 of them came from outside Lafayette Parish, an 18% jump from a year ago. Pending sales in Lafayette Parish were down slightly. It's the inventory that may be the biggest mark the pandemic has made on the market. New listings in Acadiana dropped from 733 a year ago and 619 in March to just 519 in April. New listings in Lafayette Parish dropped from 428 a year ago and 403 in March to only 329 in April, while outside the parish, it went from 305 last year and 190 last month. In neighboring parishes, sales were down last month in St. Landry Parish, 127 versus 152 last year. Iberia, 144 versus 152. Acadia, 81 versus 83. Sales were up in Vermilion, 121 versus 105, and flat in St. Martin. Okay. Lafayette names new planning development head, staff report. Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory has appointed Mary Slyman, a real estate veteran, as Lafayette Consolidated Government's Director of Development and Planning. Slyman's achievements, expertise, and leadership in the Acadiana real estate industry are an asset to the department in moving planning and development initiatives forward, he said in a prepared statement. Guillory said Slyman understands his commitment to repealing and replacing the Unified Development Code for the city and parish. Her extensive knowledge of the United Development Code is beneficial for attracting new developments in the city of Lafayette and Lafayette Parish, the news release stated. I am already prepared to help with the facilitation of successful real estate development in our parish. Our relationship with the real estate professionals in Acadiana will be a huge asset, as those professionals are often liaisons to the members of the development community, Slyman said in the news release. Slyman earned a master's degree in business administration and has 13 years of professional experience in the real estate industry, including serving as the multiple listing service database of properties for sale used by real estate agents and brokers, as its multiple director for the Realtor Association of Acadiana. All right, now we're going to turn to, well, I have one more story to read before we do that. A Lafayette bicyclist dies after crash, staff report. A Lafayette man struck while riding a bicycle on Northwest Evangeline Thruway last week has died. Bicyclist, 47-year-old Joseph Broussard, was struck by a UPS truck near Northwest Evangeline Thruway and Chalmette Road about 7 p.m. April 30th. Broussard succumbed to his injuries about 5:30 p.m. Wednesday. Lafayette Police spokesman Sergeant Wayne Griffin said the case remains under investigation. Okay, now we can turn to our it's almost our halfway mark in our broadcast this morning, and we'll turn to the day in history and the Zodiac. But before we do that, let's read a couple more PSAs. Keeping calm through COVID hotline. If you are feeling overwhelmed with stress, fear, and anxiety about the uncertainty surrounding the public health emergency, there is a special Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline you can call. This connects you to trained, compassionate counselors who can offer support and who can direct you to mental health and substance abuse counseling services. Trained counselors are available 24/7 and all calls are confidential. If you find yourself in this situation, please call 866-310-7977. That's 866-310-7977 for the Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline. Medicaid resources. If you have lost your job or if you have reduced hours, you may be eligible for Medicaid. You can apply online at mymedicaid.la.gov. You can also apply by phone by calling 888-342-6207 or by mail by sending information to Louisiana Medicaid P.O. Box 91283, Baton Rouge, LA 70821. Local Medicaid offices are currently closed to the public. If additional assistance is needed, you can call 1-888-342-6207. Stop the spread, call instead. For local information regarding COVID-19, you can visit www.311lafayette.services or you can call 311. There will be call centers with volunteers and medical professionals at 311. They're active 24/7 to answer your questions about COVID-19 and to determine if you need to get screened. You can also call 311. Press option 2 if you are a business owner, employee, or looking to for a job to get more information about applying for small business recovery loans or apply for unemployment benefits and related programs. All right, so looking at today in history, today is Friday, May 8th. It's the 129th day of 2020. There are potentially 237 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on May 8th, 1945, President Harry S. Truman announced on radio that Nazi Germany's forces had surrendered and that the flags of freedom fly over Europe. On this date, in 1846, the first major battle of the Mexican-American War was fought at Palo Alto, Texas. U.S. forces led by General Zachary Taylor were able to beat back Mexican forces. In 1958, Vice President Richard Nixon was shoved, stoned, booed, and spat upon by anti-American protesters in Lima, Peru. In 1970, anti-war protests took place across the United States and around the world. In New York, construction workers broke up a demonstration on Wall Street. In 1973, militant American Indians who had held the South Dakota hamlet of Wounded Knee for 10 weeks surrendered. In 1978, David R. Berkowitz pleaded guilty in a Brooklyn courtroom to murder, attempted murder, and assault in connection with the Son of Sam shootings that claimed 6 lives and terrified New Yorkers. Berkowitz was sentenced to 6 consecutive life prison terms. In 1987, Gary Hart, dogged by questions about his personal life, including his relationship with Miami model Donna Rice, withdrew from the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. In 1993, the Muslim-led government of Bosnia-Herzegovina and rebel Bosnia Serbs signed an agreement for a nationwide ceasefire. 1996, South Africa took another step from apartheid to democracy by adopting a constitution that guaranteed equal rights for blacks and whites. In 2003, the Senate unanimously endorsed adding to NATO 7 former communist nations, and those included Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. 10 years ago, Republican Senator Bob Bennett of Utah, targeted by Tea Party activists and other groups, lost his bid to serve on a 4th term after failing to advance past the GOP state convention in Salt Lake City. 5 years ago, President Barack Obama visited Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, where he made a pitch for a Trans-Pacific Agreement that would open up commerce among the U.S. and 11 other Pacific Rim countries. 1 year ago, the House Judiciary Committee voted to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt of Congress, escalating the Democrats' legal battle with the Trump administration over access to the special counsel's Russian report. Today's birthdays, we have naturalist Sir David Attenborough is 94. Singer Tony Tennille is 80 years old. Wow. Actor James Mitchell is 79. Country singer Jack Blanchard is 78, and jazz musician Keith Jarrett is 75. Wow. Rock musician Chris Frantz from the Talking Heads is 69. Rockabilly singer Billy Burnett, 67. Rock musician Alex Van Halen is 67. Everybody's getting older, folks, including myself. Actor David Keith is 66. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is 59. Country music Del Grey is 52. Singer Enrique Iglesias is 45. Blues singer musician Joan Bonamassa is 43. Actor Domhnall Gleeson is 37, and actress Nora Anazeder is 31. Quote for today: what you see is news, what you know is background, what you feel is opinion. And that is a quote by Lester Markell, American editor, 1894 to 1977. All right, looking at our zodiac for today, or horoscope. If you're a Taurus, do what you do best and keep moving forward. An unexpected change will lead to satisfaction and the lifestyle you choose and desire. Discipline and hard work will pay off. Gemini, you gain insight into how best to deal with the people you encounter if you are observant. Taking action and doing what right will result in respect and assistance. Cancer, if you reach out to someone you haven't heard from in a long time, it will bring back fond memories and entice you to pick up where you left off. Leo, stop worrying about what others are doing and start focusing on what you want to achieve. Make discipline, reliability, and standing up for yourself priorities. Romance is favored. Virgos, that's my sign. Think before you act. Give your or someone else's emotions a chance to wane. Take part in physical activities or join groups that will appreciate what you have to offer. Libra, stick to what's important to you. A budget that encourages you to economize will also ease stress. A shift at home will bring you closer to a loved one. Romance is favored. Scorpio, look at your options and consider whom you would like to work alongside. A partnership structure to give both parties the opportunity to do what each does best without interference will lead to success. Sagittarius, pour your energy into something that will challenge you physically, build strength, and satisfy your adventurous needs. Don't trust someone who is asking for too much. Learn to say no. Capricorn, discuss your intentions with people who count. Getting approval and support to proceed will make your plans less stressful. Move accessible and enjoyable, more accessible and enjoyable to pursue. Aquarius, do your own thing. Don't feel the need to appease someone looking for assistance. Put your time and energy into what will bring you the highest returns. Romance is favored as well for those guys. Pisces, get together with people who share your sentiments, your ideas, and plans will make a difference. An innovative approach will result in an exciting partnership. And finally, Aries, a financial deal or gain looks promising. Confidently fall through your plans. Property investments will result in personal and economic benefits. Romance and celebration are encouraged. And as always, a horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. Okay, so I'd like to read some entertainment news. But first of all, online music festival will honor state teachers. But before we get to that, I just want you to be able to know that you can tune in tonight to the DTA home sessions. And who we have this evening is very interesting. Downtown Alive house sessions are a part of stay-at-home Friday night concerts for Acadiana, presented by Evangela Maid and organized by Downtown Lafayette. The house sessions are a way for all of us to help Acadiana musicians who are out of work during the ongoing coronavirus situation. The series will support local musicians and make staying home fun. So tonight, that's tonight, May, it says 7th, but it's May 8th. Tonight, May 8th at 7 p.m., Brother Deej will be the featured performer. Actually, he's an excellent musician. You should definitely tune in. Airing live on the Downtown Live Facebook page and right here on AOC 1, Cox 15, or LUS 3, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. So please tune in, and if you can, please donate to helping our musicians get through this crisis. All right, then let's move on with some entertainment type stories. Online Music Festival will honor state's teachers, staff report. 29 Louisiana artists have signed on for the Louisiana Teachers Rock virtual concert, streaming on Memorial Day weekend. The Dream Teachers organization and Streaming for Life are presenting the online music festival to raise the spirits of Louisiana residents while supporting local artists and honoring teachers, according to a release from the Louisiana Capital Federal Credit Union, one of the event sponsors. Proceeds go to support the missions of the two groups. Scheduled performers are Bag of Donuts, Vidalia, Bo Atkins, Sarah Russo, Jamie Bergeron, Caden Gillard, Southern Roots, Chase Tyler Band, Sean Adwan, Mike Dean, Rose Down Rockers, Flamethrowers, The La-Di-Da's, Wayne Toops, Parish County Line, Infinite Bus, Casey Pavetto Band, Gary LaCour, Justin Martindale, Johnny Jimenez, Lions May Cry, Charlie Wayne Band, CJ Chenier, Shorts in December, Cody Cook, Caleb Oliver, or Olivier Oliver, Richard LaBouffe, Lane DeBrock, and Monty Russell. Also during the festival, Louisiana teachers will share personal messages to the students through photos and videos, and there will be cameos from business leaders, athletes, musicians, and political leaders from around the state. The release also says ticket buyers will be able to watch virtual music festival Saturday and Sunday, May 23rd and 24th, using their smart TV, tablets, phones, and any other streaming device, including Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, or Roku. Weekend pass tickets are $20. If at all interested in supporting our teachers, which is very, very important, visit LouisianaTeachersRock.com for ticket sales and further information. Okay, let's see, I think there was one other Entertainment-related news. Louisiana celebrities helping states during pandemic by staff report. A devised group of Louisiana entertainments and personalities have joined to support Feed Louisiana Love, a social media campaign to raise awareness and funding for Feeding Louisiana, a statewide network of food banks. Musicians Hunter Hayes, Amanda Shaw, and rock band The Revivalists, along with the Raising Cane CEO Todd Graves, are among those taking part in the campaign. Money raised will help cover the direct costs of feeding those in need, including purchasing food, storage, and refrigeration, along with repackaging and distributing food, according to a news release. The need for support is urgent, said Corey Patty, Executive Director of Feeding Louisiana. In April, Louisiana food banks reported an 80% increase in demand for their services. About 40% of the families were requesting help for the first time. A member of Feeding America, the nation's largest hunger relief organization, Feeding Louisiana is a partnership of 5 regional members: the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Second Harvest Food Bank of Greater New Orleans and Acadiana, and the Food Bank Central Louisiana and Alexandra, also the Food Bank of Northeast Louisiana and Monroe, and Food Bank of Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport. Participating celebrities have been asked to spread awareness of the campaign through videos and messages posted on their social media channels using the hashtag #FeedLouisianaLove and the hashtag #FeedLouisiana. Their messages are designed to encourage donations and challenge others for support as well. Donations for the Feed Louisiana Love campaign can be made at feedlouisianalove.com. Donors can select which food bank they want to send money to, or select Feed Louisiana Love to spread their donation equally among all 5 food banks. Patty said volunteers are staying home and community organizations have been forced to close, all at a time of high demand for services during the coronavirus pandemic and the resulting loss of jobs. We're getting food to our affiliates, but distribution is a challenge, she said. Monetary donations are critical to helping us coordinate within our network so that food can go to the places where it's needed most. Celebrities currently involved in the campaign are Casey Kelly, Lafayette country music personality, Don Smalley, Shreveport country music artist, DJ Slab One, New Orleans hip hop radio personality, DJ Dudley DeBossier, New Orleans lawyer, Dylan Scott, Bastrop country music artist, Dylan Walsh, New Orleans actor, Garrett Jacobs, Bossier City American Idol Season 16 contestant, Jordan Davis, Shreveport country music artist, Norm Manet, New Orleans pop hip hop artist, Sam Burns, Shreveport PGA Tour golfer, Terrence Simeon, Lafayette Zydeco musician, and Wild Wayne, New Orleans hip hop radio personality, DJ. Right, and that's it for entertainment news. So let's see here. We did that. Okay. Auctioneer to perform 2,500 antibody tests in New Orleans and Jefferson parishes. Study tracking coronavirus news. So then we're going to our state news now. By Feynman A. Roberts III. Auctioneer Health System will test 2,500 people in New Orleans and Jefferson parishes for the coronavirus and the antibodies that would indicate exposure, officials said on Thursday. The team will be conducted over the next few weeks as part of a prevalence study to determine the true spread of the disease in the state's 2 hardest hit parishes. As of Thursday, Orleans had 6,626 confirmed positives and 463 deaths. Jefferson was just behind with 6,588 cases and 391 deaths. But the infection rates could be undercounts, a lack of testing, in the asymptomatic nature of some carriers of the coronavirus have confounded experts attempting to gauge how widespread the virus is. Data collected during the Ochsner study will be used to determine how widespread the disease is within the two parishes, according to a news release from Ochsner on Thursday. Studies in other U.S. hotspots have suggested the actual number of coronavirus infections is often significantly higher than the number confirmed through testing. In New York, Los Angeles, Miami, and Santa Clara, California, preliminary data indicated that many mild or asymptomatic cases weren't detected by public health officials. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang hailed the new study as a key to helping them combat the ongoing effects of the coronavirus. The COVID-19 prevalence study will provide us with valuable data about the spread of the virus in our community, Cantrell said. Lee Shang called it very exciting news. To participate in the study, residents must be 18 or older, a resident of Orleans or Jefferson Parish, and have not tested positive for COVID-19. Potential participants should enroll at testnola.org, and if they are selected, they will be contacted via text and sent to a testing site. There, they will have a nasal swab and blood drawn. Participants will receive their best test results within 24 to 72 hours, the news release said. Residents of all races, ethnicity, ages, and neighborhoods are encouraged to sign up. We all know that increased testing is crucial to fighting this pandemic, and we thank Ochsner for their resources and commitment to this process, Lee Shang said. Ochsner and Jefferson have been the focus of testing in the state, with 2 drive-through testing sites in New Orleans and 1 in Jefferson Parish opening in March. The Orleans sites have since closed, but the Alario Center site in Oswego has continued operating even after federal authorities withdrew their involvement. There has also been community testing at various locations around both parishes, hitting in hard-hit Marrero and in parts of New Orleans. The pandemic's impact is still being felt. Deaths from COVID-19 in Jefferson Parish have dropped to between 2 and 4 a day. Coroner Jerry Sventovich said, but non-COVID-19 attributed deaths has also risen and are higher now than they were at the same time last year, he said. Sventovich urged those who need medical attention to seek treatment when needed. Ochsner already has more than 30 clinical studies, and trials related to COVID-19 are underway. And Louisiana tax collections dropped nearly $500 million by Mark Ballard, Capitol Bureau editor. Louisiana's tax and fee collections dropped $494 million, 42.7% in April when compared with the same month last year. The Department of Revenue's net receipts report for the month of April 2020 circulated among state government leaders Wednesday night, giving budget architects a first look at the annual receipts. For the first time, Louisiana has stayed at home with business and institutions shut down to stem the community spread of the coronavirus. Treasurer John Schroeder said Thursday he's been following the declining numbers for several weeks. This is the first time we've seen something concrete since the virus, Schroeder said, adding the state's deposit, which he oversees, are almost $400 million less than what they were last year. When you look at these numbers, it's surreal, he said. Even though it says April, you're looking at mostly March's numbers. May's report is going to be nasty. It will show a full month of April, and June has the same potential. Schroeder said he'd prefer that lawmakers get to work on the budget now and not wait on federal aid by cutting spending as other state legislatures have done. Governor John Bell Edwards issued stay-at-home orders beginning March 16th. Fiscal leaders have warned for several weeks that without shops open and with customers hunkering down and employees being laid off, the numbers would look bad, really bad. They were correct. This report reflects only the collections by the Revenue Department, which accounts for about 80% of the state's money. Taxes and fees from the gambling industry, which accounts for $800 million annually, are collected by a different agency and are not included. Casinos are closed. Taxes collected and insurance premiums and some other sources are also not included in the report. This is the money that supplements law enforcement salaries, pays for roads, bridges, public schools, colleges, and universities, and provides health care for about 25% of the population, pays for all other manner of services. If the revenues come in short, then legislators must either reduce services or raise taxes. Lawmakers are in Baton Rouge drafting the law that allows government spending for the coming fiscal year. A balanced state operating budget must be approved by July 1st. Report shows that Louisiana's economy was strong, with collections running about 8% above the previous year, but now collections for the entire year so far are about 4% lower, according to the report. Because we went in strong, we were hoping it wouldn't be as hard hit if the shutdown is short, said Robert Scott, head of the Public Affairs Research Council of Louisiana. May and June numbers could rebound, and if that's the case, state government could end the year with a manageable shortfall of a few $100 million. If May and June look as bad as April, if we continue at this rate, it will be catastrophic, Scott added. Both sales taxes and income taxes have showed significant dips, but the Department of Revenue delayed the filing of income taxes, so a nearly $300 million decline in individual income tax collections comparing last year with this year, maybe because taxpayers have postponed sending in their checks. The number of individual tax returns filed for April dropped by about half compared to the count of filed returns in April 2019, but the federal government extended its filing deadline to July 15th, and the state follows suit. On the other hand, the low number could also reflect people making less money now. The two economists for the Revenue Estimating Conference, which determines how much money legislatures can spend, use most of the line item collections on the report in their forecast. But they also collect data on revenue gathered by other agencies, along with historical trends. The four members of the panel chose between the estimates of the legislature's economists and the administration's economists. The budget will be built on the projections chosen. The panel is scheduled to meet at noon on Monday. Greg Albrecht, the chief economist for the legislature, said as bad as the reported collections are, several factors could improve the numbers. We are not really seeing in the data the impact of the COVID shutdown, Albrecht said. Much of the decline in the department's April receipts report could be administratively based. For instance, the report shows that sales tax collections dropped 14% from April 2019. Those numbers are largely based off of transactions that took place in March. His records show that March had about 55,000 transactions, roughly 52% below last year, but many retailers have submitted sales taxes. The state gave businesses more time to turn in sales tax receipts. Questions remain: how much sales taxes will be turned over once retailers start paying, he said. Okay, and just to let you know, in a few minutes, I do have a few more stories that I'd like to read. Being on Friday, I like to get all the news in if possible. So there are a few more stories I'd like to read to you this morning, but at 9:55, which is in about a couple of minutes, the broadcast, the audio portion of today's broadcast of the news will be cut off on our TV stations. That's LUS 3 and AOC 3 and LUS 15. But if you go to our YouTube channel, which is AOC Community Media, or to our Cypress Street radio streaming online, you will be continuing to hear the audio portion of the broadcast this morning. And it's usually always audio. So please go to AOC Community Media, our YouTube channel, or Cypress, that's CYPRESS Street Radio Streaming Live, and just hit the play button if you would like to continue to hear the news. All right, stores beginning limiting meat purchases. Production shutdowns led to shortages by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Owners at new markets might have to be like some bigger supermarket chains. they might put a limit on how much meat customers can buy. The effects of the coronavirus pandemic has moved beyond meat processing plants and are now hitting dinner plates, with several production plants closing temporarily after hundreds of workers were sickened by the coronavirus. The demand continues to rise as restaurants are operating at a limited capacity at best. It's led to meat shortages. Wendy's has pulled some burgers off its menu. Costco's, Sam's Club, Super One, Kroger, and other larger chains are limiting purchases of meat to avoid panic buying. We were thinking about it, New News owner Blaine Broussard said. We haven't decided what we are doing yet. Do I see it in the future? Yes. As of Monday, U.S. beef and pork processing capacity was down 40% from last year, according to Jason Lusk, head of the Department of Agricultural Economics at Purdue University. Some meatpacking plants are coming back online after President Donald Trump issued an executive order last week requiring them to stay open, but until they're back in full capacity, consumers will likely see some shortages and higher prices for beef and pork, Lusk said. Poultry production has also been affected, but to a lesser degree. On Tuesday, the attorneys general for 11 Midwestern states urged the Justice Department to pursue a federal investigation into market concentration and potential price fixing by meat packers and the cattle industry, pointing out the disparity in the price of live cattle and the retail cost of boxed beef that is sold to customers. Given the concentrated market structure of the beef industry, it may be particularly susceptible to market manipulation, particularly during times of food insecurity, such as the current COVID-19 crisis, they wrote. Just over 1,000 Wendy's restaurants, or nearly 20%, had no beef items available on their online menus Monday night, according to analysis by Stevens Incorporated, an investment bank. Stevens' analysis, James Rutherford, says some states such as Ohio, Michigan, and New York seem to be affected more than others. Wendy's responded that some menu items may be temporarily limited, but it continues to supply its restaurants with beef 2 to 3 times a week. The company said it's trying to limit disruptions to its supplies. Super One, which has 13 stores in Acadiana, has put a limit on several items, including chicken, pork, and red meat. Customers are allowed to buy only 2 items of each. It also puts limits on other items such as cough, cold medicine, cleaning supplies, bleach, paper towels, and rice and beans. The list is evaluated on a weekly basis, a company spokesperson said. Albertsons, which has 3 stores in Lafayette and another in Broussard, is also limiting customers to 2 packs of chicken, pork, and beef, store officials said. Champont's Market is among stores that have not enacted purchase limits, owner Greg Champon said. It's not something he wants to do. I think we're policing enough things, Champon said. I don't feel like being a policeman. It's going to be one thing after another. I hope I don't have to deal with that. We used to have to beg customers to buy as much as they want. It's a sad, sad deal. At Rouse's Markets, the Louisiana-based company has not enacted any limits on items in the 3 Lafayette stores or others across the Gulf Coast. State officials, however, are keeping tabs on each store during the pandemic. The company had early put limits on cleaning supplies, toilet paper, bread, eggs, spokesman Tim Acosta said. Our supplies are good right now, he said. We are aware of what's going on in the industry, but we feel our supplies are good, and we're managing it on a store-by-store basis and a day-by-day deal. The only thing is people need to buy what they need. People don't need to panic buy. That's when all the problems start. Some companies, including Target and McDonald's, so they have no restrictions in place. McDonald's said last week it has seen no supply interruptions because it uses a wide variety of suppliers. Meat producer Tyson Foods Incorporated said it's working hard to get its plants back up safely. It's very difficult to speculate on how challenges to the food supply will evolve in the coming weeks, but we are doing our best to maximize our production to meet demand, the company said in the statement. Prices have already jumped significantly and may continue to rise, Broussard said, according to a new report from CoBank's Knowledge Exchange Division. Even if the reduction of processing capacity is temporary, it will likely have a lasting impact on meat processors, livestock producers, real stores, and consumers. Meat suppliers for retail grocery stores could shrink nearly 30% by Memorial Day, leading to retail pork and beef price increases as high as 20% relative to prices last year. Margins for cattle and hog farmers have fallen to multi-year blows, said Will Sawyer, lead animal protein economist with CoBank. As meat plants have closed, farmers are left with few options for their livestock, requiring herds to be culled. Shrinkage in the U.S. livestock herd will likely make the food supply shortage more acute later in the year. Pork and beef production are down about 35% compared with this time last year, making retail shortages and price inflation nearly assured, Sawyer asked. Beyond Meat, which makes burgers and sausages from pea protein, said Tuesday, is launching new value packs to entice consumers, while rival Impossible Foods is expanding sales to more than 1,700 Kroger groceries. Impossible Foods, which makes soy-based burgers and sausage, said Tuesday it's accelerating its retail sales from seeing a fall off in sales to restaurants. Its burgers will go on sale at 1,700 Kroger grocery stores starting this week, which more than doubles the number of stores offering them. In January, the burgers were available at only 250 stores nationwide. Okay, let's continue, see what we have here. All right, state testing plan for nursing homes remains unclear by Feynman A. Roberts III. Reported deaths from the novel coronavirus in Louisiana nursing homes rose to 709 on Thursday, up 21 from Monday's report as the virus continued to exact a devastating toll on the state's elderly and infirm, especially those who live in communal settings. More than 3,300 nursing home residents have tested positive for the virus, and 179 of the state's 279 nursing homes have reported infections, according to numbers released Thursday by the Louisiana Department of Health. And now the residential care facilities, including behavioral and psychiatric facilities, as well as inpatient drug treatment facilities, there have been 438 cases and 75 reported deaths, the state said. The death total in nursing homes remain about 1/3 of the state's total COVID-19 deaths, where it has been for several weeks. The state, which has not reported which nursing homes have infections since late March, announced early this week it would start reopening the names or reporting the names of injured individual facilities with at least one coronavirus case on May 18th. Early on, the state reported nursing homes that had 2 or more cases, but stopped in April due to the volume of reporting and other factors. Governor John Bel Edwards has also said he plans to use new tests being acquired by the state to target testing and nursing homes, but has yet to clarify exactly how that will work. Thursday, the state chapter of the AARP issued a statement calling on Edwards and state officials to comprehensively test nursing home residents and staff. The only way to truly protect the health and safety of residents and staff is for facilities to have ready access to testing, AARP President Dennis Bottier said in the letter. Nationwide nursing homes have been particularly hard hit by the pandemic. Estimates have put the total number of nursing home victims in the tens of thousands in many cases. The virus snuck past strict lockdown protocols, including ending communal meals and activities, banning visitors, and confining residents to their rooms. New Orleans, a New Orleans nurse stands by remarks to Trump by Raymond Antonio Vargas. Despite the angry response she received in the Oval Office on Wednesday, the New Orleans nurse practitioner who told President Donald Trump that many medical workers are still struggling with the shortage of personal protective equipment, or PPE, stood by her comments Thursday, saying her colleagues throughout the country informed her remarks. Sophia Thomas, president of the American Association of nurse practitioners also said she doesn't regret politely agreeing with Trump when he only curtly replied that wasn't the case anywhere or everywhere, prompting White House critics and some in the medical community to accuse her of caving. I had a message to share. Members of the Nurses Association are seeking shortages across the country, Thomas said. I think he understood that, and they heard it. Thomas was thrust into national news media spotlight Wednesday while attending an Oval Office event commemorating International Nurses Day on May 12th. In response to a reporter's question, Thomas said access to PPE for medical workers on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic had been sporadic in some communities across the U.S. I talked to my colleagues around the country. Certainly, there are pockets around the country where PPE is not ideal, but this is an unprecedented time, said Thomas, a family and pediatric nurse practitioner who works at a clinic in Kenner that is part of the DePaul community healthcare system. PPE has been sporadic, but it's been manageable, and we do what we have to do. Thomas added she'd been using the same protective mask for a few weeks now while treating patients with a highly contagious novel coronavirus, including a 4-day-old infant. Nonetheless, the White House reportedly asserted that the nation's hospitals have had adequate stocks of PPE during a pandemic that, as of Thursday, had killed roughly 75,000 Americans, including 2,135 in Louisiana. The Trump administration has also contends that governors have an important role in acquiring personal protective equipment, or PPE, as well. As soon as Thomas finished, the president crossed his arms and rebutted her. Sporadic for you, but not sporadic for a lot of people, Trump said, because I've heard the opposite. I've heard that they are loaded up with PPE now. Thomas replied, oh no, I agree, Mr. President. Thomas on Thursday said she didn't regret anything that occurred during or after her exchange with Trump. Okay. We've done that story. Emergency election plan draws suit by Sam Carlin. An emergency election plan aimed at addressing voting during the coronavirus pandemic of COVID-19, which Republican lawmakers altered to limit the expansion of mail-in ballots, has drawn a federal lawsuit seeking a more robust expansion of absentee voting. The lawsuit, brought by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, Power Coalition for Equity and Justice and for Individual Voters, says the reason voters can access mail-in ballots under the plan falls short of protecting voters of the coronavirus, which has taken an outsized toll on Louisiana. It calls the plan unduly restrictive and seeks to repeal the requirements that voters present an excuse to receive an absentee ballot, thereby expanding them to everyone. Risking your health and the health of your family should not be a requirement to partake in the electoral process. Catherine Meza, senior counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, said in a statement, "We are hoping this lawsuit not only increases access to absentee voting, but also makes in-person voting safer so that Louisianians can exercise their constitutional right without putting their lives at risk." The lawsuit also asks for other rules, as absentee ballots to be suspended and for early voting to be expanded, among other things. All while the coronavirus pandemic is ongoing in Louisiana, the lawsuit argues the selection plan will particularly affect Black voters because the virus has taken a disproportionate toll on minorities. The plan, crafted by Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin last month for the delayed July and August elections, originally featured several reasons voters could use to obtain a mail-in ballot and avoid voting in person, including a fear of transmitting or catching the virus. But Republican lawmakers, aided by Attorney General Jeff Landry, fought back against the expansion, echoing claims by President Donald Trump that such an expansion would invite fraud. Election experts and studies have repeatedly found voting fraud is extremely rare. Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards has voiced his support for the plan, which passed both chambers of the legislature in late April. He revised the plan to include only the following reasons for getting a mail-in ballot: those at higher risk because of serious medical conditions, those subject to a medically necessary quarantine or isolation order, and those advised by a health provider to self-quarantine, those experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and seeking a medical diagnosis, or those caring for someone who is subject to a quarantine order and has been advised to self-quarantine. One of the plaintiffs, Jasmine Pogue, suffers from asthma and a history of upper respiratory infections, according to the suit. But while she fears she could die of catching the virus, she would not qualify for an absentee ballot under the plan passed by lawmakers. This Pogue's only option to vote requires risking virus exposure and perhaps her life at an in-person voting site, the suit states. Ardoin's office didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on Thursday. The lawsuit names the governor, Secretary of State, and registrars of voters for East Baton Rouge and Orleans Parish. Edwards spokesman Christina Stevens said the governor hasn't reviewed the suit, but said the governor supported the original plan, which featured more reasons voters could get absentee ballots. The lawsuit, which is filed in the Federal Middle District of Louisiana Court, argues requiring any excuses to get an absentee ballot is unconstitutional and violates the Voting Rights Act. Republicans worry of an expansion of mail-in ballots work with Landry's office to craft a plan that they hope will survive a lawsuit. A similar lawsuit is playing out in Texas over the state's refusal to expand mail-in ballots. House and Senate takes first floor vote since returning. The Capitol News Bureau members of the Louisiana legislature gathered in their respective chambers Thursday night for their first substantive meeting since reconvening earlier this week. The House and Senate voted on about 36 bills and resolutions, though none of the big measures were on the agenda. Neither was a resolution approved in committee on Wednesday that would strip Governor John Bel Edwards of his ability to enforce the various directives that have led to the closures of businesses and limited gatherings to 10 people or fewer. Lawmakers have been meeting in committees, hearing and voting on various bills since gaveling back on Monday. Legislature has been on recess for 49 days as part of the statewide effort to mitigate the community spread of the often deadly novel coronavirus. Committee hearings are each spread out into 2 hearing rooms to ensure observers are sitting apart. Witness tables are wiped out after each testimony, and no papers are allowed to be passed around. Legislative leaders have said only about a third of the roughly 1,500 bills filed at the beginning of the session would be considered so that lawmakers could focus on addressing the COVID-19 recovery, the stumbling economy, and the state budget. 93 of the House's 104 members, about half wearing masks, were voting Thursday on mostly minor bills that drew little controversy. The Louisiana House voted 89-0 to adopt daylight savings time year-round if the federal law is ever amended. House Bill 132 now leads to the Senate for consideration. They skipped over legislation that would designate Gulf fertility as Louisiana's official butterfly. 29 of the 39 senators spent their first part of the gathering voting on resolutions that commanded coaches and All-Americans on LSU's 2019 undefeated football team, which won the national championship in January. About half the senators wore masks. Most staff members at the dais wore masks, and Senate President Paige Cortez, Republican out of Lafayette, who overcame a bout with COVID-19, donned a mask at the start of the meeting. Sergeants at the door initially barred a reporter from the Advocate and Times Picayune from entering the chamber, said it was limited to senators and staff only. A few minutes later, Cortez said there was no intent to keep media off the floor, and a Senate Sergeant-at-Arms apologized for the confusion. Side galleries, normally packed with lobbyists and observers, were empty. A handful of onlookers watched the proceedings from a balcony 1 floor up from the chamber with cushioned seats roped off to ensure social distancing. The floor agenda is limited to non-controversial bills, and senators milled around their desks making small talk with colleagues while Senate Secretary Yolanda Davis read the title of bills as part of the legal process to get proposals ready for debate. The Senate voted 29-0 for a resolution by Senator Sharon Hewitt, Republican from Slidell, that reestablishes the Lower Pearl River Basin Task Force that is studying issues dealing with flood protection in St. Tammany and Washington parishes. Senators Heather Cloud, Representative of Turkey Creek, Beth Mazzil, Representative from Franklinton, and Hewitt went to the microphone to thank Cortez for the flowers he gave them marking Mother's Day. How sweet. Okay, GOP lawmakers reject paid sick leave proposal by Melinda Deslat, Associated Press. Republican state lawmakers Thursday rejected a proposal that would require many Louisiana businesses to provide sick leave for their workers in a debate heightened by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. House Bill 8321 by New Orleans Representative Matthew Willard, a Democrat, was killed by the House Labor and Industrial Relations Committee in a 10-5 party line vote. Republicans voted in a block against the measure, saying they oppose placing a financial mandate on businesses. Willard cited the coronavirus outbreak in Louisiana, one of the city's early hotspots for the COVID-19 disease caused by the virus, as a key example of why paid sick leave is needed, saying it could help mitigate the virus's spread. Willard said that 41% of Louisiana workers don't receive any paid sick days at their jobs. He said employers should discourage people from coming to work if they're sick so they don't risk infecting others, particularly with the highly contagious coronavirus. But he said many employees can't afford to take an unpaid day off. I'm not okay with forcing our workers to make that decision, Willard said. His bill would require an employer with 20 or more workers to provide sick leave for all full-time and part-time employees at a rate of 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours worked. Employees with fewer than 20 employees would have to allow unpaid sick leave. Businesses would have to provide a maximum of 40 hours of sick leave a year, the equivalent of 5 days of work. A ban on handheld cell phones while driving clears Senate panel hurdle by Will Santel. A bill that would make it illegal to use a handheld cell phone while driving won approval Thursday in the State Senate Transportation Committee. The vote was 5-1, and the proposal next faces action in the full Senate. Similar efforts have been tried for years in the legislature without success, including a near identical bill rejected by the State House last year. Senator Patrick McMath from Covington and sponsor of the legislation said 19 other states have similar laws. McMath said Louisiana already bans texting while driving, but that measure is all but impossible to enforce. You can be on your phone for just about anything else, he told the committee. McMath said handheld cell phones contribute to accidents, fender benders, and fatalities. He said there are pages and pages of statistics that spell out the dangers of distracted driving. The Office of State Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan backed the measure. Richard Brown, president of the civic group Citizens for a Better Kenner, urged the committee to reject the measure. Bottom line is a feel-good bill that has a good purpose, Brown said. We all want to do something about distracted driving, but when it comes to talking on a cell phone, all the science, all the studies show holding the phone is not the problem, he said. Brown said the mental distraction caused by the conversation is the problem. There are countless studies that show that, he said. If you Google whether hands-free are any safer than handheld, you're going to hold article after study after study that says no, Brown said. There is no evidence that hands-free phones are any safer. State laws bans the use of handheld cell phones while driving in school zones. The proposal, which is Senate Bill 50, while it would make using a handheld cell phone while driving a primary offense, Any law enforcement could stop violators for that offense alone rather than as part of another reason for a stop. The lone no vote on the committee was cast by Senator Barrow Peacock from Shreveport. Voting for the bill was Senators McMath, Louis Bernard from Natchitoches, Jay Rogers Pope from Denham Springs, Ed Price, Gonzalez, and Gary Smith Norco, all Democrats. And that, my folks, wraps up the news for today. And I know it was lengthy, and I appreciate if you hung in there to listen to a lot of the stories because of the legislation session bumping back up yesterday. So there were a bunch of stories related to that. I just want to read a couple more PSAs to get to close out today's broadcast. Let's see. I believe this is still going on. Free lunches will be served daily starting at 11 a.m. at the RoboShow Center that's located at 1919 Egrass Landry Road. RoboShow Recreation Center is open for to-go lunches. Only a limited number of lunches are available. And their lunches will be served again today starting at 11 a.m. So lunches will be served from the Walk-On Sports Bistro, compliments of Drew Breeze and the Breeze Dream Foundation. Lafayette Fire Department will be helping to distribute meals. Lafayette Police Department will be helping with traffic and security. The RoboShow Recreation Center or Rec Center is located at 1919 Egrass Landry Road. And finally, LEDA, individuals whose hours are being reduced or have been laid off from employment may qualify for insurance benefits. If you're attempting to apply for unemployment insurance and are not able to access an existing online account or need help resetting your password, please call Lafayette's Acadiana Workforce Solutions office at 337-262. That's 5601, 262-5601, 337. Due to high call volume, some calls may not be answered immediately. Call again at a later time or contact one of Louisiana's other law offices or local offices for assistance. In addition to unemployment insurance benefits, individuals looking for supplemental income can consider local employment opportunities with businesses who are seeking temporary, part-time, and full-time workers by visiting the COVID-19 Help Wanted resource page at lafayette.org/helpwanted or LEDA's virtual job fair page with local businesses seeking to hire local candidates for full-time employment opportunities at lafayette.org/jobs. And that wraps it up for this morning, Friday's news and everything. And just one last note, I don't have the article in front of me, but the NFL season is going to happen. That's right, folks. If you're a football fan, the Saints will be playing this year amongst the other teams as well. The NFL came up with a schedule and beginning in August, and it looks like the very first kickoff game for the season will be held at the Superdome against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is being now led by, yes, the old New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady against Drew Brees. That will be the first Saints home game this season, and that will kick off the entire season for the year. Not sure about whether fans will be allowed in the stadium at this point. Don't think that's going to be allowed at this point. But if you have access to the Advocate online, you go to the sports section, read all about it. But the schedule was put out today or yesterday actually and printed in today's paper. So please take a look at that if you're a football fan or sports fan. Thank you again this morning for tuning in and listening. We appreciate it very, very much. If you're ever interested in doing what I have done this morning, read the news for our visually impaired audience in Acadiana or for our community members that don't have access to the newspaper or the news cycle, please contact at aocinc.org. You can find a form there that you can fill out, and please come and join us. We will be getting back in the studio at some point, but I have been doing this from my home studio. So if you want to participate in that, please go to aocinc.org, fill out the form, you will get contacted and hopefully become a reader. Thank you again for listening this morning. Again, stay safe, stay healthy. Please follow protocols. We need to get rid of this virus as quickly as we possibly can so we can get back to some kind of new normal, as it's being called now. We definitely need to get back, but the only way we can do that, folks,